So I just got my Makita angle grinder here in the mail today. I ordered one of these because the other day I was working out on the driveway with my skid steer, and I got a rock stuck in the track between the tire. I ended up having to remove the tracks, and I was limited with the tools I had. I had a couple of ratchets and sockets. I was able to get it off. However, I stripped the bolt, and I was having a really hard time getting it off. And what I was running into is I can obviously not bring the skid steer back to my shop and work on the thing here when it's stuck in the middle of the field. So I said, enough's enough. I have every tool I usually would need to get the job done, and I've been thinking a lot in the past about purchasing one of these battery powered grinders, just for situations like that where, you know, I need it to be mobile, I need it to be with me in the truck on hand, and I ended up just pulling the trigger on it. So far, I mean, I unboxed it, popped the battery on, popped a cutoff wheel on it, did a little damage here. I actually grinded my desk here a little bit just to test it out, and I gotta say, just right off the bat, I'm very, very impressed with it. Very happy with it. I obviously haven't put it through the ringer here and done some real tests, but I mean, I can just tell it's a quality tool. I watched a couple of videos already before I purchased it to make sure I got the model I wanted. I think this one might have the wireless ability to turn on a vacuum and whatnot. I don't need that. I don't ever envision ever needing that, but the one I chose is the ability to do up to 5-inch discs. So I actually went ahead and ordered a bunch of them. It actually ended up coming with, which I wasn't sure if it would or not, but it came with a regular grinding wheel and in 5-inch and a cutoff wheel in 5-inch. So I actually when I purchased this, I ordered a Diablo 5-inch metal grinding disc, and I bought a couple just Diablo cutoff wheels just to have on hand. These are 4.5, which what's nice is these 4.5-inch ones will work on the 5-inch. So this will basically just do up to 5-inch. And then I figured there's times where I'm cutting stone or tile or whatnot, so I wanted to just have one of these on hand. So I bought a 4.5-inch diamond blade Makita disc for that, so that'll be good for any masonry work. I just wanted to be able to have whatever I might run into, and then if I need to order more as I run into different jobs, I could certainly do that. And they do sell these. I wasn't sure. The one thing about this is they sold two different versions: the regular screw-on type with the big nut and tool you got to use, which again is just really inconvenient, and then they sell the model with the X-Lock, which I actually have to be honest, I did not even know about X-Lock until I started looking at these tools. I'm guessing it's actually been around for a while, but new to me. But I kind of hesitated at first because I'm thinking, well, are these like very common, or am I going to struggle to go to the store and find one? Do I have to order these? But sure enough, they have them right at Lowe's, Home Depot. You can order them on Amazon, anywhere you want. I actually found these ones cheap. Must have been like open box on eBay, so they were only a couple bucks. So very unique to have this X-Lock. It's everything I could imagine that I would want to modify in any of my old angle grinders. So I have a couple in here. I have air-powered one. I have this old Craftsman one that I beat the absolute heck out of. And again, it's got the screw-on type, and I've used those, but again, I needed something that would be able to work in the field and just be able to bring right with me. So a couple cool features about this besides the X-Lock. So that's really, it took me a second to kind of figure out, but you sort of pull up on it, and you actually have to have it facing this way, and they just pop on by themselves, just like that. And when you want to remove it, you can actually just pull the lever up, and it'll drop right off. It doesn't get any simpler than that. This looks really robust and really heavy duty. I'm sure it's all hardened steel and stuff. So, we'll see over time if that sort of wears down. But, I mean, just the ability to change something that quick, not that I would have to swap from different types that quick, but it's typically when you pull this thing out of the drawer, you end up having a really worn on there from the last time you never change it. And I would wear these things down to the absolute minimum just because it was such a pain to change them. Just not convenient. So that's going to be a big difference with this tool in general. The other thing is the shield. So on the other models I have, again, typically because it was such a pain to, sometimes there was a clamp around here that would keep this thing on. So you end up just taking it off. And obviously there's safety reasons you'd like to keep it on, but you know, most of us just say, just take it off and we don't need it. But I've ran into a few scenarios where it, you know, I'm grinding away and it kicks back. I could have lost a finger, or just sparks in general when you're trying to grind, you know. So what's neat about this is not only is it extremely quick to pop on and off, just like that. You just press this little lever in here, and you have to actually have it positioned upwards like this to get it on. Press the lever and pop it on, and then you could hold this in and turn it into whatever position you'd like. So that's going to come in handy when you're, you know, if you want to grind like this and keep the sparks away from your face like this. If you want to grind this way, again, you could just rotate it around. So it actually came with two different ones, and here's the other one here. This one has a full shield around it, and what that would be really good for is probably cutting either, you know, sheets of metal or cutting tiles, and you actually want that guard to protect both sides of it. So you go ahead and pop this on. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong thing here. So pop that on, and then if you rotate it probably like this, you have your disc here. That way you could actually shield the entire area so it won't kick out things to the side either, and you could just go ahead and cut like that. So that's really cool. I wasn't expecting that at all in the package. I knew it came with a guard, but I didn't really know how it worked and all that. So this is really, really cool. It's definitely gonna, you know, give me the chance to use it more often, like I said, than I normally would. It's nice to be able to have that and not just go live dangerously all the time. But yeah, let's just see. I'll just pop on a battery here. I actually have an old Makita battery that I've built, I think about 3 houses with, and I can't believe this thing is still going. So very impressed with their batteries, but that's a whole separate video. This tool actually, most of the new Makita batteries have the battery status right on it, like this one. This is the newer style. So you can just check the battery life. This one I noticed actually has it right on the tool, and I thought it was a button maybe, but how it works is when you turn it on, it shows you right away. So as you're grinding, you could actually watch the battery life right while you're using it. So, and as opposed to on the batteries, you have to, you know, press the button to see whenever you want to check the status of it. So you just pop on one of these, and I'll just kind of show you how it works. So you just pull this back and you just rotate it till it clips on. Oh, I guess I'm having trouble with this one. Let me see if, oh, you know what? This one might actually have to go on this way. Yeah, so that's actually one thing I just learned as we're doing this is these discs, oh, maybe it's actually just the masonry blade. So I guess you do have to make sure that the orientation is right. Yeah, because I'm looking at these right now, and if you could see the sort of twist that way, that where it pops into, it's kind of shifted that way, and on this one it's that way. So depending, it's not always label up or down now that I look at it. So you just have to keep that in mind. But you could just look at it as you're putting it on. But once it goes on, I mean, it's, like I said, comes on and off really, really easy. So just pop that on, goes on automatically, and then pop the battery on. And we'll just grind my vise here for a second. Why not? And I gotta say, just right away, just because it's a battery tool, I thought maybe, you know, when you start to actually grind metal, it would kind of die down a bit or kill the motor. I mean, the few things I've used this on, it does not, you know, reduce the power of the motor at all, even when I push into the metal quite a bit. I'm sure there's plenty of other videos on YouTube where they do, you know, some really good reviews actually showing what it's capable of. But I just kind of wanted to go over this, show you the new tool we added to the arsenal, and you know, just right off the bat, very, very happy with it. So I'm basically going to be bringing this over to the property and cutting one of the bolts off the tracks on the skid steer, and I've actually purchased some replacement bolts. I'll do that in another video. So my steel tracks for the over the tire tracks, I purchased some spare parts. I bought a piece of the actual track in case that ever has issues, and then I bought a bunch of the links and bolts and nuts. These are just hardened bolts. So basically my issue was I went to take the bolt out, and because there was so much tension on the track with the rock stuck in there, I had to pound this out with a hammer. It just completely just destroyed the threads. So I was able to get the bolt back in, and I put the nut on, but it's only catching by a couple threads, and obviously that's not going to work long term. So bought a couple spare bolts. I'm going to bring that grinder over there and grind off the bolts that are on there and replace them, and that'll be the first true test of how this thing works. I mean, it's pretty compact. It's really light. Obviously, by the time you add the battery and the shield, it gets a little bit heavier, but it's definitely no heavier than even the corded model that I have. So that wraps up this, and if you guys like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't yet, and we'll see you guys in the next one.